Hey everybody, and welcome to FYB's live Wimbledon coverage. Will Hamilton alongside Adam Szymanski. Adam, good to have you back. We sort of we kicked you off the show for the French Open final.
For the final, but thankfully I got to do what 13 or 14 webcasts leading up to that, which was a lot of fun.
We've actually got, it looks like, Ian in the chat right now.
Indeed we do.
And he just told me that he is available for the Wimbledon final, which it was a little bit dicey because you know, it's July 4th is the Wimbledon final,
sure.
So we don't know if Ian's out of town. I mean, he's got things to
Have a
do.
barbecue
So
going on.
exactly.
Right.
Good thing for us at least is that it's 9 a.m. in the morning, so you know the match is over by noon, and you hit up the barbecue or the or the pool or whatever.
Right.
Before we get going, a couple points of housekeeping. First of all, just like the French Open, this webcast is sponsored by Championship Tennis Tours. Hyperlink to their website right below us. We have a promo code for them, so if you're going to buy your tickets to any tournament, use that promo code and you get free shipping. And it also, if you get tickets to the U.S. Open, there's two sort of cocktail parties that they're putting on, I believe the first Tuesday and the last Friday. I have to double check that. But if you, of course, get tickets through, you know, with that promo code, you're invited to those events. We'll be there. Ian will be there, I think, for at least one of them.
That sounds fun.
So, so that you know, that's the first piece of housekeeping. The second thing is that we are. How should we explain this, Adam? Is that we are releasing.
We are doing two things. We are the big thing is that the second week of Wimbledon, which is next week, we're going to be running a really sweet promotion on FYB Premium, and
Which is our subscription, sort of, you know, high-end
portion of the website, right? And leading up to this really good deal that we're going to have on FYB Premium, we are going to be releasing, I think, 4 or 5 videos on strategy.
Yeah, sort of, which is what we focus on a lot in FYB Premium.
So I guess the point of this is we wanted to sort of show you guys, we get a lot of questions, people ask, what is inside FYB Premium? You know, what type of stuff do you teach in there? So we are going to be releasing a strategy course.
Sort of a mini-series, yeah.
It's a mini-series that will give you a 30,000-foot, top-down kind of broad view of the concepts that we talk about inside a Premium. And it's all going to be free. All that content is going to be free. And it's going to be about, I think, 45 minutes long.
Something like that, yeah.
45 minutes worth of strategy.
I think you're very, sorry, you look like you're quiet on the...
yeah, probably because...
I'll keep talking about it while, if you want to go adjust that for a second. Yeah, the idea essentially is we're coming out with this strategy course, stuff you can implement the very next time you hit the court, which is based off of, it's sort of the blueprint, the 30,000-foot view of what we talk about in Premium, and it's stuff you'll be able to see the pros implementing at Wimbledon. So you can watch the videos we're releasing. We're doing the first couple are right at, basically later tonight, and then over the course of the next couple days. But you'll be able to see what we're talking about is what the pros are using, and we've kind of figured out, we've boiled it down so that you guys, you know, the rec players can implement it as well. So Adam, you want to say something to see if you're coming through?
I should be a little louder now. Let me keep turning myself up ever so slightly.
So yeah, can you guys hear? Let us know in the chat if Adam's volume is better now.
How about now? Am I any better now? Keep turning myself up a little bit here.
Yeah, it's going to take a second for this stuff to come through, but some people say still the same, other people say better. Ian says sort of mixed reviews. Just turn yourself up and we'll go with that.
Yeah.
I'm going to let you mess with that. Why don't you just still quiet. Anyway, we have the final thing is just like with the French Open, we're giving away a bunch of free stuff. Later today, we'll give away a $25 gift card courtesy of Tennis Express. We'll get to that later.
Okay,
with,
so I should be much louder now. How about now? That should be one heck of a lot better.
He says you're much louder. Adam's saying he's louder, and people can confirm in the chat if that's true or not.
Well,
they haven't said anything yet,
we'll go with
so they're just sort of hanging out. All right. Well, with that in mind, we're going to jump into the matches from today. The one we're really going to spend most of the time talking about is Federer versus Alejandro Falla, which is a rematch of the French Open second round where Federer won in straights, and it's also a rematch of a match they played at Halle. I think it's Halle, but I'm so bad at pronouncing stuff.
That could be about right.
And Federer won, like I said, I'm pulling up the score, that's why I'm looking over here. Federer won the French Open match pretty easily, and he destroyed Faya at Halle. I mean, I think it was either 1-2 or 2-1. It was a total beatdown. So, you know, coming into this match, I didn't think it was going to be particularly close. And if you guys have been following either Twitter or Facebook, I think Federer, I picked Federer to win the men's side and Serena to win the women's side. Almost got embarrassed on the number one day. Fed, for those of you who didn't see the match, down 2 sets to love. And, you know, I wouldn't say he was playing his A game, but he wasn't playing a bad match. I mean,
No, Faya definitely showed up to play. By the way, you guys should all be able to hear me now. The volume hopefully should be worked out. Just post something in chat if you can hear me now.
Yeah, so this, I mean, Adam, you and I watched this. This Faya played, yeah, it looks like you're good. Faya played a really, really good match, and then he sort of ran out of steam. We do know that somebody said in the chat there's a match on right now. It's Djokovic is battling versus Oliver Rokas. Looks like Djokovic is about to serve out. I'm following it on the web interface and not watching it on TV.
Yep.
So it looks like Djokovic is about to send it to a fifth. We'll obviously keep track of that one.
Right, so unlike the French Open, the center court at Wimbledon has lights on it now that they put the roof on. So
I guess yeah,
nice.
it's past 10 o'clock there, and they can still
right.
They can still play. Yeah, so that is, you know, they had that last year, so it's nice that you're not going to get breaks in play like you had at the French Open. But so yeah, Fed's down 2 sets to love. He's down a break in the well, he holds on. He was down love 40 in the 3rd set on his serve. Held serve, and if he had lost that game,
that was huge.
Faya would have
huge for him. Yeah,
Faya would have been serving for the match. Then he was down a break in the 4th set.
Yep.
Faya serving for the match. Fed breaks back and then sends it to wins the tiebreaker easily and then steamrolls Faya in the 5th set, which you would expect. Faya looked like he had some sort of injury and ran out of gas.
He did. He looked like he ran out of gas, I think was the bottom line. I think it takes a lot out of you physically and emotionally and mentally to come that close to beating Federer, who I don't know if you had mentioned this already because I was fiddling with the audio, but in their previous meeting, Fed had lost a total of 3 games. 3 games in their previous meeting at Wimbledon.
At Wimbledon, yeah.
Yeah. And, Faya was on the verge there of sending Federer home in the 1st round of a major.
That would have been
unprecedented. Yeah.
So I'm looking, give me a second to, so this looks like I'm trying to make everything nice and organized over here. Yeah, so let's clip over because the stat line, I read some comments saying, well, first of all, for those of you who haven't seen this, we've got on this end the normal, on the left-hand side of the screen is my normal desk or computer screen, and then over on the right is a magnified version, so you can see Federer file on the right, and if I scroll over, you can see the score line sort of clearer with the magnification. But people were talking about, Federer didn't really play that well today, and his A game, he needs to step it up. If you look at the stat line, I mean, the serving percentage definitely could be improved. 5 to 10 percentage points.
Certainly a number of aces for Federer as well. That's unsurprising, though, on a grass court.
Sure. It's going to be a double faults, maybe slightly high. But here's the stat line. We got unforced errors and winners. I mean, 40 to 101 is a pretty darn good ratio. So it's not like the guy 101 winners. Yeah, I mean the guy.
That's a pretty amazing stat, kind of regardless of who's playing. I mean that's 101 winners. It's a lot.
And they Federer got asked afterwards, right after the match, were you not playing well? Were you, what was the deal here?
Right.
And Federer said, the guy just came to play. I mean, Federer did say he felt like he was struggling and wasn't playing his A game.
He was shanking a lot of balls, Federer was, especially in that 3rd set where it looked like he might come apart. Before he pulled it together there, he was shanking quite a bit.
He missed some shots, and I think some of that, though, was Faya's doing. Faya did a nice job of wrong-footing Federer on occasion. Yeah. Federer moving to his forehand looked a little unsure, and I'll diagram this in a second, but that's because Faya was doing a very nice job of attacking Federer's backhand. Faya's left-handed, so it's the lefty forehand, Fed's backhand. So Fed was anticipating that exchange. So when Faya did go to the open court to Fed's forehand, Fed wasn't always moving over there. Certainly wasn't anticipating.
Right.
So he didn't look comfortable moving in that direction. too much. So we can.
You want to go over to the whiteboard and
yeah, I was
diagram
gonna say there's a couple. I have note cards, planning ahead. There's a couple things I want to highlight in terms of what Faya did that was real effective. If we put Faya up here, the first thing he did was he stood right up on the baseline. As Brad Gilbert says, I believe he used the term right up in the batter's box. And what that did was it cut down on Fed's time. So remember, this is a forehand for Faya as a lefty, and this is going to be a backhand for Fed. So Faya was putting a lot of balls over here and preventing, and what Faya did really well by standing up and particularly handling that slice topspin exchange, that sort of series that Federer likes to construct. He likes to hit a lot of slices and then go topspin and keep his opponent off balance. And that allows him to run around and hit a forehand inside out or inside in. Well, Faya did a really nice job of handling those, keeping the ball sufficiently cross-court and with sufficient pace, and again, by standing in, cut down on the time, Fed really couldn't move around and take control of a lot of points like he has done against some other opponents. Again, having the forehand on this side is a huge advantage when you're trying to neutralize this strategy. Obviously worked for Faya, and it works for Rafa real well as well. And on a grass court where the ball is moving through the court a little bit quicker, this strategy or countering this strategy can be a little bit more effective than, say, a clay court where Faya, that's sort of his wheelhouse versus a grass court. But on clay, even if Faya's standing in, Fed's going to have more time to get around that backhand and hit a forehand. And that's one of the reasons that the French Open match wasn't quite as close. It was closer than people think, but it wasn't quite as close as today's match. And because Fed was really looking for the balls over here, that gave Faya the opportunity, and he made a nice job in terms of shot selection going to the open court, and that's why Federer was having trouble moving to the forehand. And one thing Faya did really well was hit aggressive cross-court two-handed backhands selectively. When he went cross-court, he didn't just roll it, he really went after it and put some mustard on the ball, and that kept Fed off balance when he was trying to get over here, and that was really a nice play by Faya. I think that covers most of my note cards. So, yeah, the Federer's certainly going to have to lift. It's a combination of raise and lift. He needs to rift his level of play if he wants to obviously repeat as champion. But if we give me a second to pull up the draw, Fed's draw for the next couple rounds is pretty good. There's not really anybody. If we clip over to the computer screen, we'll minimize FYB. Clip over to the computer screen. I mean, this is not exactly a murderer's row over here.
Run that Feliciano a little slower.
Lopez. Okay, so we've got this dude. Can't even pronounce his name.
I'll
figure it out later.
Basil.
I'm not going to embarrass myself trying to do this right now. So we have Arnaud Clément, Luček, who was Federer's first round at Wimbledon, or excuse me, French Open. And we scroll down. We got Feliciano Lopez. Then Berdych, maybe. I'm not a huge fan of
Jürgen Meltzer's in there.
Yeah, I wouldn't be too worried about that if I was Federer. And then Davydenko is the other guy. So there's a couple, there's a couple guys Federer maybe could face in later rounds that are certainly good players. Davydenko being the most obvious.
There. But he's of course at the bottom of the draw, and Federer's at the top, so it would be a quarterfinal match, right?
So I don't see anybody really, pressing Fed too much in the next few rounds, and Fed's going to be able to play himself into shape.
Right.
Berdych beat Federer at Miami a couple months ago. I don't really see him doing the same on grass.
Right.
The bottom half, I guess Djokovic is still battling with. It's 2-2 now. If you clip over, this is real-time score. This match is still going on, so it's 2-2 in the fifth. If Djokovic doesn't get through this match, then the bottom corner, basically you've just got Roddick. So you could get a Roddick-Federer semifinal rematch of last year's epic final.
Yeah.
But there's, if I'm Federer, I'm not too worried. I mean, again,
there's a lot of stronger names in that. I mean, Monfils might make a run.
You know, I don't really trust Monfils.
Yeah,
from a mental
Leighton
standpoint.
Hewitt's in there.
Yeah, former champion, did beat Federer in the final of Halle, but you know, again, the sort of old. It's not a major tournament. I wouldn't be super worried about that if I'm Fed. So I mean, you know, things are looking up. I mean, today, you know, Faya played well. Faya pushed him, but you when you get through these matches, I mean, Federer already has a bunch of confidence, but it's never bad to sort of play a tough match and remember why, you know, like how to essentially compete in a 5-set match. Remind yourself that yes, I can pull it out in a really tough situation like that.
He certainly did, yeah.
And I don't know, you know, I'm trying to think the last time, I might have the stat wrong, but I think the last time Fed played a 5-setter in the first round of a major was 0-3.
Yeah,
it was a while ago. So, you know, getting pushed is not necessarily.
If you guys know the answer to that in the chat, when was the last time Federer played a 5-setter in the first round of a major? If you guys, I know you guys are like stat experts.
Well, do we have? Is Charles in the chat? we need to ban him.
They're like our very own research analysts.
Yeah.
Contracted out for free.
So that's sort of, you know, and remember, guys, why don't we use the chat right now? If you guys have any specific questions about this particular match or an upcoming match,
people were saying
let us know.
It was the French Open 2003.
Okay, it was 03 French Open.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, remember, you know, I meant to say this at the top of the show. We'll do it now. Use the chat to ask us some questions about this matches or upcoming matches. We've got I got one just now, but we've got some matches tomorrow. Rafa's playing. There's one question: what happened to Djokovic? He's you know.
He's switched from...
Yeah, I don't think the racket switch had a ton to do with it. He's just not playing. You know, he had obviously better form in 08 when he won the Aussie Open. Yeah. I think a lot of it's mental, and his serve is certainly giving him trouble. I think he could probably simplify the motion a little bit. You know, but we talked about this in the French Open webcasts and hit on it at other points. It's all confidence, or not all confidence, but at the pro level, it's a ton about, you know, are you confident in your shots? Are you swinging freely? That's really what matters.
Sure.
You look at, you know, Federer had the confidence to come from 2 sets down to win a match, whereas Djokovic had the lack of confidence where he's up 2 sets against Meltzer and then loses at the French Open. So it's really just, you know, tennis is one in between points and in between the ears. It's 2 different. I can't remember who 2 different people had those quotes. I've merged them, but you know, completely true. Completely true.
It's an interesting comment. Someone says in the chat he switched the racket. You know, he's apparently switched from Wilson to Head, and they're saying that he switched for the money, which is interesting. I mean, I would have to wonder how much is a racket deal worth. And, you know, there's obviously the prestige of winning majors, but the prize money may be significantly less than a racket deal. I mean, you never know.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of self-fulfilling. You know, if you win a major, you get $1.5 million or something like that, but then you automatically get $3 million in endorsements for winning that. So,
but what if his racket deal is, you know, $10 million over 2 years?
It's something like that.
You may not.
I mean,
care
I don't know if
you
it's
don't
that
win.
high. Well, I think you care.
Well, yes, you care clearly. Because it's your record that you're establishing.
Yeah, I don't think these guys don't just say, "Hey, give me a racket, I'll play with it." I mean, they test all that stuff, and they basically go into the shop and say, "This is how the type of racket, make it for me."
Right.
And you know, that's what Federer does. Is he worked with guys, you know, worked with Wilson to get that racket designed to his liking. Somebody's asking about Roddick Lodra match. I mean, I think Roddick's going to win.
Yeah, I think Roddick takes
that
it.
one. He looked pretty solid today, beating Rahm. So you know, I think he was a little bit sketchy at Queens. He lost early in that tournament, but you know, he looked good today. So I'm not too concerned about that. And I think, you know, when certain players step on certain surfaces, like Roddick on grass, he just gets that confidence.
Yeah, sure.
So, you know, he might not be coming off the best stretch with not having played after the U.S. hardcourt season, and then the French Open, he went out in the 3rd round but that wouldn't be the best momentum. But and then
Right.
of course Queens. But
anything can happen, I guess. I mean, we ran into that at the French Open this year, certainly.
yeah, I mean,
A lot of people, people lose.
but
Seemingly
the
randomly.
five-set match for a guy like Roddick who has to serve on a fast court. I mean,
Right.
he just
Certainly tends to favor
Yeah.
him. Yeah.
Speaking of someone who lost, we should hit on this briefly. Let me pull this before you clip over. Is Francesca Schiavone?
Yeah, right. There you go.
Lost in the first round.
Speaking of momentum, apparently
That
didn't work out so
does
well.
not surprise me at all, to be honest. I mean, maybe it's right here. So she lost in 3 sets, but
Schiavone's up top there,
yeah, Schiavone's right
and
here.
Duchevine is at the bottom.
And the third set, not close. Schiavone, she's a clay court player, so this, it's always a shock when the winner of a big tournament then loses in the first round, regardless of
Right, sure.
regardless of what kind of surface it is. But
It looks like you're at the top of the game, and then 2 weeks later, you lose in the first round.
this is a girl, Schiavone, who was not at the top of the game, played at the top of the game for 2 weeks, and now is kind of back where she was.
Yep.
Before. I might not
Fair
be
enough.
giving her enough credit.
Yeah,
She's very talented.
Yeah, maybe
but-
not. She certainly has a solid game.
But I do think it's different from, let's say, a Rafa or one
Or
of
a
these,
Federer.
or a Federer. Obviously,
Right.
those
Guys
guys are
who-
kind of missed. I don't want to use them because everybody expects them to go deep. It'd be like a Roddick,
Yeah.
maybe losing real early
Yeah,
at a
I
big
agree.
tournament. You just don't expect.
But even
that.
Roddick, I think, has been more consistent than Schiavone's been.
Well, he has, but a Roddick is a guy who's always, kind of performed at the top of the game, as opposed to Schiavone, who's sort of more up and down. Obviously,
Right,
there's more
right.
vicissitudes.
I think
in
Roddick
the
has been
play.
sort of boxed out of. I think Roddick should have more titles, but has been boxed out by Fed and Nadal. If it weren't for those guys, Roddick
it's-
would have
absolutely
at least a
It's-
couple Wimbledons, probably a couple U.S. Opens, Australians.
Well,
I
it's,
mean,
it's a situation like, Charles Barkley. You're sitting around lamenting Michael Jordan.
yeah, exactly.
Or
sure.
or all those guys. Patrick Ewing
Right.
or Reggie Miller. You played during the era of the greatest, and
Right.
your trophy case is going to be victimized by
Right.
by those guys. I'm trying to segue into some sort of question that we can use.
Oh man, do we have to
get
come
one.
up with a question?
We have to come up with a
Oh.
question. Do I think
forgot about
Ivanovic
this.
will ever be back? This is a perfect opportunity for me to answer that question and for you to look up
Oh,
a question.
Come on.
Star Fury, good job on setting me up for that. So
This is rough.
while that, do I think Ivanovic will ever be back? This kind of goes back to the confidence. First of all, she, it's weird and not weird, but it's interesting in a way that she won the French Open versus a faster surface like Wimbledon because she's such a flat ball hitter. She doesn't have nearly as much spin as some of the other gals on tour. So you would expect her to perform. Obviously, she's 6'1", so she should have a decent serve in there. So you would expect a faster surface to favor her style of play, but it goes back to what I was saying before. It's a matter of confidence to a large extent. She didn't start playing the year very well. Then she had a stretch where she made it deep in some tournaments, and now she's she obviously didn't do very well at the French Open. So it's a matter of confidence, which leads to consistency. I mean, if you if you go out on court and you sort of mentally set every single time, and you're not worried about is my backhand going to be there, or what is the press going to say if I lose this match, or how's my serve going to work? I mean, when you have technical kind of questions in the back of your mind, that wears on you, which sort of incidentally, if you want to take a tangent, is why you should never, if you're playing a match, never think about technique when you're playing a match. You don't want to go out
It
there.
has to be there before you get out on court for the match.
Well, yeah, or it doesn't necessarily have to be there, but you just have to say to yourself, I am not going to worry about whatever I've been working on when I go out there. What I'm going to do is say, this is my strategy. This is where I want to hit the tennis ball.
Right.
Actually, that's something we'll be talking about in this course.
Yeah, let's go back to that because I think we have a question. So let's do
Okay.
the question first, and then let's circle back to this thing
Okay.
about strategy because my mic was not functioning properly when
Okay,
we
we
were,
can
when
hit
we were
on-
talking
yeah.
about this promotion we were going to do, and we'll just hit on that at the end here because we have
All right,
about
so
2
here we
minutes
go.
left.
Question
Okay.
is
Question is,
for a $25 gift
Yep.
card.
This
from tennis-
is-
from courtesy of Tennis Express.
this is going to be a question about losers.
And you have to be in the chat. You have to be in the chat to answer there to obviously win this. So if you're not in the chat, just jump right in.
So, who has been to Wimbledon finals and then lost the most? Who has lost in the most Wimbledon finals of anyone, men's or women's? You don't have to give a year. I just need a name. And we'll see what we got here. Biggest loser at Wimbledon.
It can be men or women.
Biggest
men or women.
loser, men or women. A lot of people are saying Roddick.
Highlight the answer for me.
You know, which is not quite right. It's not Roddick.
Okay.
But Roddick has lost the most games in a final. He lost 39 games. Or he won 39 games or something like that and still lost, or whatever the case may be. I can't remember if that's how this works.
So is it tied there? It looks like it's tied.
Well, it is tied. There's two possible answers.
All right, we already got one. We got one.
We have. Do we have?
It looks like Oscar got it.
Yes, I think.
Chris Everett.
Yep, it's Chris Everett. So, congratulations to who was that?
Yep,
Oscar.
Oscar. Yeah. I'm messaging you right now with directions on claiming that.
I guess somewhat of a dubious distinction, right? Having lost the most finals at Wimbledon. And it's actually a fair number. Let me pull that back up again. How many was that? Chris Evert lost 7 finals at Wimbledon. 73, 78, 79, 80, 82, 84,
and the
85.
other answer is...
the other answer was Blanche Hilliard back in the 1880s. So probably not many people know that.
Yeah,
but
I was not around for those matches, so I did not see those.
Your dad might have been, though.
My dad might have.
Should ask him if he remembers old Blanche Hilliard.
At what point in this, because I'm definitely going to hyperlink that. Calling out the old man.
Old Blanchy and your dad were probably
best
high
school
buds.
together, actually.
Yeah,
they shared the same science class.
Possible. So,
all right.
okay, that being said.
Enough ripping on James Hamilton.
So circling back, because we ended that thing previously with a discussion of strategy. If you guys didn't hear, at the top of the show, we started it out by saying that we were doing a big promotion coming up on the second week of Wimbledon. So starting next Monday and running through the last day, the men's finals. We're going to have a really, really, really good deal on FYB Premium. Huge price discount. And leading up to that, because we get a lot of questions about FYB Premium, people want to know what's inside, we are going to be showing you a bit of what's inside. So we are going to be doing a strategy mini-series. It's going to be about 45 minutes long. And it's going to have a lot of really, really useful stuff that you can use the very next time you hit the court.
The point, like we talked about at the top of the show, is the stuff we're talking about, we're doing it now because it ties in with Wimbledon. You'll be able to see that we're not just sort of making stuff up, that the tactics we're talking about is what the pros are using, and then we've sort of boiled it down or explained it in a way that you can
There's
use.
hours of strategy discussion inside of Premium. We're boiling it into a lot of tips that you can use, like we said, you know, the next time you hit the court. And you'll be able to watch these videos that we're going to be releasing, this strategy mini course, and then you can turn on Wimbledon, and you're going to see pros, Federer, Nadal, Djokovic, you know, they're going to be doing the exact same stuff.
And to go back to the earlier question about Ivanovic, and you're saying, well, what can she do to get on top? And then I segue to say you don't want to be thinking about your technique.
Yeah.
What you want to be thinking about is the strategy stuff we're about to talk about.
Right.
Because it's the blueprint for how you want to approach a match, where you want to put the tennis ball, the adjustments you want to make based on your opponent.
Right.
And if you're thinking about how should my hitting arm, you know, what hitting arm position am I going to use? You're thinking about something technical, then you're not going to be thinking about the strategy end.
Which is more important at that point.
Yeah, at that point, yeah. Strategy is just as important as how you hit the ball. And, you know, the practice court is for working on your technique, and a match is for, you know, placing the ball properly. And trying to exploit your opponent.
Right. So stay tuned. Basically, I believe the introduction video for the
first two
strategy
videos
course
is going to be out later tonight.
And the first video they're going to be later tonight. So check back in
an hour and a half, 2 hours.
Couple hours.
We'll say 3 hours.
Those will be up there, and we'll be releasing one every day or two.
Yeah.
So hopefully a lot of good stuff you can use to improve your game there.
All right. Well, with that in mind, I think that has, you know, we've touched on everything. Again, thank you to Championship Tennis Tours for making this happen, and that promo code is FYB.
Yep. Use if you Championship Tennis Tours, they sell individual tickets to almost every tournament. They sell package deals, like if you want to go on vacation, they can set you up airfare, hotel, tennis tickets, etc. They do a good job. They're sponsoring our webcast, so they're awesome. And you can use FYB, the promo code FYB, with them if you want, and get a discount.
You get free shipping, and then there's that cocktail party.
And then there's the cocktail party, which means you get to hang out with us.
And Ian Westerman.
Westerman, which is awesome.
So
because Ian's really awkward, so that's mostly what makes it awesome.
I'm not sure if Ian's still in here.
All right.
We'll act out. All right. With that in mind,
we'll see you guys tomorrow.
We're sign off
5
same
p.m.
time. Again, this is the exact same format as we did with the French Open, where it's every day at 5, and then the final is going to be Ian.
Yep.
Back with us at 9 I think it's 9 in the morning. Is the match.
Cool.
So with that in mind, we're going to sign off, but we'll see you tomorrow at 5 o'clock.
See you guys.